Welcome to the Lavaca County Today podcast. Your hosts are photographer, columnist, Murray Montgomery and graphic design artist, photographer, Michelle Price. This podcast is a review of the 4 weekly papers in Lavaca County, Texas. These papers include the Hallettsville Tribune-Herald, the Shiner Gazette, Yoakum Herald-Times, and the Moulton Eagle. Thanks for listening to this week's news review and please share. And now, here are your hosts, Murray and Michelle.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Lavaca County News Review with Murray and Michelle. Although I'm a little bit short a player, so joining in today will be Mr. Jimmy Appelt. Hi, Jimmy. How are you?
Doing fine. I'm looking forward to this. Anxious to step in for Murray.
Yeah, it's big shoes to fill, but I know Jimmy can do it. And we'll be reviewing the September 13th and 14th editions of all of our Lavaca County papers. And we will start with the Hallettsville Tribune-Herald. This week in Hallettsville, of course, a lot's going on just like every other week. And on the front page, you're going to see a lot of stories by the famous Jimmy Appelt. So, Jimmy, take it away.
I wouldn't call me famous, but just putting stories together. Well, first of all, Hallettsville High School has started a new program called the Mid-Coast, where students are attending the Mid-Coast Construction Academy. It's a kind of a pre-apprentice type program where students can learn to things in plumbing and electrical work and air conditioning type work. And basically about 7 of those have started attending that. They travel to Victoria every day early in the morning and then are brought back for the rest of the day at the school. But it's a good program that is also being taught by a former Hallettsville High alumni, Matt Hilbrick, and it takes place in Victoria, and it's really good for them, and it's anxious to see if this thing will start to grow for them.
Yeah, those programs are good. If you've ever had a plumbing problem or your air conditioning went out in Texas heat, you know how important these jobs and careers are to our community. So good luck to these guys. And Sacred Heart has homecoming. We have several areas that are having homecoming this week. We have Sacred Heart, Shiner High School, and Yoakum. So we'll kind of talk about a little bit of that, but we hope that these kiddos have a great had a great homecoming week, have a great homecoming game, and best of luck to those pictured on here that'll be running for homecoming queen.
Yeah, the Indians will be playing Louise on Friday night for homecoming, and the students that have been selected for this year's homecoming court on the girls' side for the queen is Ava Matthias, Addison Ferry, Marin Mahachek, and Annalise Noshka, and the boys, and Braxton Sitka. And then the boys are Clayton Chance, Peyton Cole, Brady Haas, James Cesars, and Wade Shimmick. And they do something different. They don't announce theirs on the Friday night of the game. They hold Sacred Heart has traditionally held their homecoming festivities the next day at the KC Hall, and it's basically a private dance, and they have a meal, and they announce the Queen and King at that time. So they do it's a big thing for Sacred Heart.
Well, that's great, and we hope they have a great weekend celebrating, not just Friday night. That's awesome. So as we move along, Henry Joe has a new question in his town chatter, and the trivia question is quite a long one. You have to do some work for it for sure. So you guys go ahead and look that up and call in your answers, I guess, as soon as you get them. He also has a pretty long town chatter, so that means a lot's going on in Hallettsville. So good job, Henry.
Yeah, Henry does a good job with that particular town chatter. He's been doing it for a number of years, and he takes a lot of passion in it. He's working hard with it.
And then we also have a letter to the editor honoring Mr. Murray on a great story, his Dove story about his mom. And it was a good one, so thanks for sending those in. You can always send in letters to the editor, but that was much-deserved recognition for Murray, who always does a great column every week.
Well, we move to the next page. I'd like to mention about this program that's going to be held Saturday afternoon at the St. Peter's Lutheran Church Fellowship Hall in Hallettsville. It sounds like a very important thing. It's called Rise Up for Life. The Rise Up for Life Committee, I should say, have put this together. And they're going to have speakers there that are going to talk about child sex trafficking, how that's such a serious thing, and it is a very serious thing, and it actually does take place in this part of our community as well. So it's something that people should listen to. They're going to talk about child predator grooming trends and social media security protocols as well. And they're even going to have I understand, even a person that was not caught for it, but was a victim of this type of crime, and they're going to be speaking at that particular program too. So it's from 2 to 4 on Saturday afternoon. If you're not doing anything, try to make it over there, because I think it'd be worthwhile to listen to.
Yeah, the best way to prevent anything is to have knowledge of what it is and what it entails. Andy Rice Day, that's a good little article and photo by Jimmy about what that entails, and it was an amazing cake. We got to enjoy it here, right?
And Andy, yes, we did. Andy is a former professional football player, played many years ago, and last year they had an Andy Rice Senior Day, and this was his second one that they celebrated, and they brought us a cake, and we took a picture of it, and then got to enjoy some of it too. So we wish him a great day, even though he's passed away for us. He is actually played in the first Super Bowl way back in 1967.
Really? Wow, that's pretty cool. So yeah, that was fun, and this is your invitation that we are open for you to bring food to the newspaper office at any time for us to enjoy. The door is wide open. And then you'll see on the back page, Hallettsville High School did have their football sweetheart and cheerleader beau honored, and the sweetheart was Lauren Lundy, and the beau was Zachary Hennick. Is it Hanky? Hanky. I'm getting used to this Hallettsville. It's Hennicky, Hanky. It just depends how many E's are in it, right?
And N's, too.
And N's. So I got to look really close. But congrats to those two young kiddos on those awards.
Well, in looking at sports, Chuck Robb does a great job putting the sports page together. And this past week, both the local football teams won their games. Sacred Heart defeated Houston Kip Sunnyside. 48-16. They played the game on Saturday night, even though it was originally scheduled for Friday night. It was supposed to be played in Houston, but referees deemed the field unplayable, so they moved the game to Hallettsville the next night. Brahmas, on the other hand, are off to a 3-0 start as well, and they defeated Van Vleck the other night 46-0, and are playing very good football so far. And they're going to play San Antonio Piper this week, which is actually a 5A Division II school. It's actually a newer type school, and this is the first year that school is in having four classes going from freshmen to seniors. Before this time, it was a freshman, sophomore, then it was freshman through junior, and this year now it's freshman through senior. So that should be a good ball game. They have to travel over to San Antonio to play that game Friday night.
Best of luck to them. I know that sometimes these blowout games aren't very fun to watch, but hey, they're good wins. So you learn something from all games. So.
Yeah, and then in volleyball, the Indianettes are 3-0 in district, and the Lady Brahmas opened district with a loss to Edna. And one thing that Chuck pointed out in that particular game was something he hasn't seen in a long time. Edna was actually leading one of the games in the match by a score of 24-16. They only needed 1 point to win the match. And Hallettsville came back and won that one, although eventually Edna wound up winning the whole thing. And so they're both in the middle of that type of play as well.
That's a hard accomplishment right there. So congrats to them, even though they didn't get the overall win. Congrats to them on that set victory. I would like to point out in Mr. Chuck Groff's column, he talks about Schulenburg breaking their 13-game losing streak. It was really good for my family for that to happen. We're very excited for my husband and the Shorthorn team. Thanks, Chuck.
Since you mentioned his column, I want to mention one other thing. Our own Jonathan Brooks plays for the University of Texas, for the Texas Longhorns. He's their starting running back, and he played against Alabama last Saturday night and had a good ball game. He scored a touchdown late in the game, and figures on his statistics, he had 53 yards rushing and on 14 carries. And he also made a big play on a 4th down where he picked up a muffed snap and advanced it for a first down. So he having a good year, and the Longhorns are off to a 2-0 start as well.
Yeah, he's making Hallettsville proud for sure. So we're going to keep flipping. We don't have Murray's iPad, so that means that we're actually going old school and using the actual paper. So our hands will be black after, but that's the fun of it all. And we're going to now move on to the Shiner Gazette, which, as Murray likes to say, is my favorite town, but, I'm a little partial. And the big story on the front page, or one of the big stories, was keeping them hydrated. So the Shiner royalty took it upon themselves with local members of the community to help collect water and Gatorades, any kind of sport drink that could help keep the Lavaca County Emergency Management teams hydrated. They have been buying water like crazy. As we all know, it's very, very hot, so they keep running out. So you can see a list of donors that helped them collect that. It was over 200 collected. And then on Monday, in honor of Patriots Day, they had a small ceremony and they donated the waters plus some cookies they baked to the local law enforcement, sheriff office, emergency management coordinator, fire department, and Lavaca County EMS. So we thank all those people who daily give of themselves to help serve, and we hope that they do stay hydrated and that this heat passes soon.
I think it's about over with. We're starting to get a lot of change in the weather. Shiner High and the Comanches are going to have their homecoming festivities as well this week, Friday night. They do theirs at halftime, and the homecoming, and they're playing East Bernard. Homecoming court is Carter Dixon, Chelsea Whidden, Megan Bloschke, Caden Booth, Trace Bishop, Amy Mechon, Jackson Welch, Brooke Palmer, Riley Vancouver, and Kale Shows. Among those students, one will be now announced as the homecoming queen, and of course the other is the homecoming king.
So best of luck. Hope they have fun. I know it was a great week. My daughter had to wear all white today. That is not the best choice of color. So we'll see how white she comes home with those. There was a Shiner man that gets 2 years in prison for a Veterans Day shooting. So you guys can read over that. We don't like to talk about all that negativity, but Shiner PD hires 2 new officers. So look at that. Officer Kalina joins the force. He had been on it before, went to Schulenburg for a stint, and is now back, and we're happy to have him back, and we're happy to have these gentlemen adding to the police force. Again, on page 4, you're going to see more of that Memorial Day celebration, or not Memorial Day, sorry, Patriot Day celebration. There is a big full page on an explanatory statements for the November 7th, 2023 constitutional amendments. Now, this is in all of our papers. It is a lot to read, but all of that always is very informative information. And then again, the Rise Up for Life committee to present town hall that Jimmy talked about earlier is also in there. And then we go to Shiner Sports. And I mean, you have to just turn it over to the guy who knows sports best. So go ahead, Jimmy.
Okay, well, first let's talk about the football teams. St. Paul scored a lot of points in the first half against Dallas CHE, Christian Home Education, and wound up winning the ball game. Looks like 48-6. No, they were leading 48-16 at the half. So they went on to win 48-30 in their ball game over the team from Dallas. The Comanches are off to a tough start this year after many years of success. They have a young ball club that are getting better and better each week, and they just had a tough time. They played some very good competition so far, and the other night Pope beat them in their ball game, and so we'll just have to hope and wait for the Comanches to get stronger as the season goes on, and I'm sure they will once they get in their district play. It'll be a lot different type of situation. Their girls got third in the Moulton cross country meet. The Lady Comanches, that is, got third in the Moulton cross country meet. And in volleyball, the St. Paul girls defeated Austin, I'm not certain, San Juan Diego in a match. And then the Lady Comanches beat Nixon Smiley but fell to Stockdale in their volleyball games this past week. All this information put together by Mark Luby, who is the sports editor for the Gazette. And so that's basically as we said too, the Comanches will be hosting their homecoming festivities this week or this Friday night. So turn out and watch them play. They're playing East Bernard, another good opponent. Said don't give up on them because they are a good football team.
And Mark and Chuck both have Harris's picks. So it's kind of fun to see if it's Mr. Harris, I'm guessing it's a man, is correct in what he predicts the outcome to be. Let's see what else is going on. We do have a sports corner by Sloan. Okay, how do you say the last name?
Sloan Price. Sloan
Price, and he is one of our owners. So go ahead. It's a good long column all about sports. And then Sulphur Park says silently celebrates 93rd anniversary. It's a lot of information about Sulphur Park's history, where it's at today, what it's turned into. Of course, it's not the pool that you see listed above. That pool does sit there empty now. And that top that you see that I don't know how any of us survived, and I did go on it as a child, is at the Shiner Walters Museum. So it's a good article about Sulphur Park and their history. So you guys go ahead and check that out. And I think we're going to move on to Yoakum also has homecoming. So obviously it's the week of homecoming. And so there's some nominees on the front page, and then there's also some inside. So check out all of those. Is this I don't know how Yoakum does it. So these are the Queen nominees, which is, I should have made Judith say these names. Aubrey Gendercy, Madison Gonzalez, and Destiny Rios. And pictured in the back are the King nominees, Rafael Quilpos, Zachary Taylor, and Taiwan Garcia. So there's also going to be Cheerleading Beau, Football Sweetheart, and that will be all announced. So stay tuned. We'll have those winners next week, and I hope that they have a great game and a great... And
I might add, you might please excuse us for butchering up the names.
Yes.
Reading them, and they are sometimes hard to pronounce. I wrote an article last week dealing with the new Texas laws that are in effect, and this one is in the Yoakum Herald-Times, just talking about the various laws that are taking place. Two laws that involve Texas schools. One of the laws is basically the schools have to have a armed guard on President campus. Now, if they don't have their own guardian-type program, they have to have a police officer on guard. This is basically had been brought on due to the tragic shooting massacre that took place in Uvalde last year, and where 19 children were killed and 2 teachers lost their lives. And, of course, the whole purpose of it is to try to prevent anything like this from happening. The schools do a great job of trying to set up as great a security as they can for protecting the people that are there, the children and the teachers and all the staff.
Yeah, it's hard to even imagine something like that would happen in a small town, but it can happen anywhere, and being prepared is the best key to that. So now, big news, Yoakum resident buys a $1 million scratch-off ticket. Now, this wasn't bought in Yoakum, right, Jimmy? It was bought in...
I'm not certain where it was purchased.
Lolita.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure where Lolita...
Lolita? Okay.
Yeah, is it far from here?
Well, not too far. It's over in the Edna Industrial Vanderbilt area, kind of getting over in that particular direction. So it's a small community.
So it's Circle R Drive-In in Lolita is where it was purchased. The overall odds of winning is better than 1 in 4, which includes break-even prizes of this, I guess.
Of course, that doesn't mean winning $1 million.
That doesn't. That's cash blowout will pay. And then it said, I read this earlier, so out of the 1 million payout so far, out of the 8 possible, this was the second one. So there's still 6 out there up for grabs. So if you feel lucky, go ahead and buy that. But congrats to them. They do want to remain anonymous for, I guess, obvious reasons. But they just had a life-changing event. And
you bet it was. I wouldn't know how to act if I scratched off a scratch-off and saw $1 million. So
would you come back to work?
Probably not.
Oh, sad day. All right. Well, we're going to move on to sports. I guess I hope you don't win the lottery then. I'm sorry, I'm rooting against you now.
On the sports, the Bulldogs had a big ball game this past week. They traveled over to Cuero, which is their big rivalry, the DeWitt County rivalry. And boy, I wish I'd have been at that ball game because it sounded like it was an exciting football game from start to finish. Unfortunately, the Bulldogs came out on the short end at the end, but it was a ball game. I think they lost 41-34, and that was all happened in the last minute and a half of the game when Cuero finally went ahead to take the lead. And of course, Cuero's went to the state finals last year in 4A Division II, and the Bulldogs hung with them. And Cuero has a lot of those players back from that team, and Cuero Yoakum did a great job. The Bulldogs did a great job of sticking with them. This week they play Port Lavaca, and that's, we said, their homecoming game. They're hosting Calhoun, and so that should be another good ball game for the Bulldogs to play.
Yeah, and just because Yoakum had a loss, those were two very strong teams. So I bet it really was one of the better games in the area to watch last week. The varsity runners earned team bronze, and that is in cross country. Cross country
teams from both the boys and the girls finished third in their respective divisions in the Lavernia cross country meet that took place last week, Saturday. And so that's good. I mean, they finished high on that. That's not the way. Cross country is kind of a different way that they keep points. The lower the points you score, the higher you win. You have a chance of winning the meet. So in other words, first place gets awarded 1 point. I believe that's the way it goes, and so on up. So when you finish in the top three, you've done pretty darn good. And then the volleyball team, the Lady Bulldogs, picked up wins against both El Campo and Industrial. These are both non-district games, so they're off to a very good start as well.
So when we're talking on the next page about Texas Star teams take second in world standings for fast pitch senior play, are we talking senior citizens? What age are we talking here?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
This is something that Eon Moore, who's a longtime local fast pitch ball player and game official, he's umpired in baseball and softball for, I think, over 50 years. He always does this every year and plays with the team called the Texas Stars. And I don't know if there's any other Yoakum players that belong to the team either, but they play up in, I want to say, somewhere in Illinois. And so he travels up there, and it's always done here in September. The team he was on, I believe he played with the 70-plus group, and they finished in a tie for third and fourth place. And I don't know if he played he may have played in the other ones too. In the 60-plus one, they finished as the runner-ups. And then 65, they also finished in the runner-up. So he plays a lot of softball yet at his age, and they have a good time. I know that. And then one of the other things Eon does, and I only know about it because I follow him on Facebook, he makes a tour around the country taking in major league ballparks, and that's on his bucket list. And I think he covered about 8 different ones this past trip up to the north section of the United States. So
that's a pretty fun bucket list. I will say that I could see my family doing something like that. Our vacations seem to always include something sports related. Congratulations to Gabriel Sluka for finishing his Eagle Scout project. That is a big undertaking, and he obviously worked hard at that. So congrats to that young man. We're moving right along.
Yeah, on the back page of the Herald Times, there's more pictures of students that are part of the homecoming card. So make sure you check that out as well.
Alrighty, and then we're down to the last one, and that is the Bolton Eagle. St. Joseph's Parish Picnic will take place this Sunday, so I am still very amazed every week how many church picnics there are. I had no idea until I started working at the paper just how many exist. So you basically could take one in almost every weekend for quite a few months. But the best part about church picnics is always the food and music and fun. So go ahead, if you have anything planned, go check them out this weekend. And then an Ezel home was leveled by fire. Do you know a lot about this?
No, I don't know a whole lot about that. It said the home was valued around $350,000, and there were a couple of explosions in it. From what we understand, it was an all-electric home, which is odd that it would be some explosions in it. Anyway, the Hallettsville Fire Department answered the call, and this took place, Saturday?
I think, yes,
Saturday evening. I'm not certain. I don't know if anybody was even in the home at the time. I hadn't really looked at this article.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to read it all, but it is the biggest thing is that no one was hurt, and that thank goodness, and that it is still under investigation. So we'll have follow-up if anything comes our way. But it was insured, so thank goodness for that. And we'll be curious to see what exactly happened.
And let's see, we have a picture on the front page of the Eagle. A bunch of students in Mr. Ty Ramos's science class at school is enjoying the new science labs that are part of all the buildings that came up for Moulton School, and they're really enjoying it. It looks like they're having a good time mixing things together or whatever, testing things and so forth. So check that photo out.
And then on page 2, we have Murray Montgomery's Lone Star Diary column. This was also, I know, in the Yoakum paper. I'm not sure if it got in Shiner or Hallettsville, but it is a great column, and it definitely references what Saturday is, which is Thank a Police Officer Day. But I think the title is very fitting, that special days are nice, but every day would be better. And so that's just kind of a reminder of the sacrifice that public servants like police officers, EMS, fire, all your emergency management make to keep you safe and healthy and protected. But so this Saturday is in particular dedicated to Thank a Police Officer Day. So if you see one, or you could think of something special, or just keep them in your mind and prayers on that day, any of that is super important, and to show your appreciation for all they do for us.
Okay, I think you also pointed out that Bobcats and the Bob Kittens took part in the Schulenburg cross-country meet, and basically athletes had 6 finishes at that meet. And then if you turn the next page in the Eagle, there's a big page full of information provided by Sloan Price. He calls it the Sports Corner. We really didn't look it over, but I noticed he talks about the Alabama-Texas game in the first one, and then talking about Texas A&M playing Miami this past week as well. And let's see, also it takes in the pro teams, the Cowboys and the Texans, and how they did in their games this past week as well. So check that out. It's some interesting read.
So everything in all sports he covers. And it's, definitely an interesting read, like Jimmy said. So we finished all the papers, and we successfully, I think, or we at least gave it a good shot to do it without Murray. We do miss Murray. I tried to figure out where he was going, and I think I've narrowed it down to either a hot date or skipping the country. So we'll see.
Murray's hard to replace. He does a good job with this, and he's very comfortable in speaking on the microphone and talking on these podcasts. He's done his own personal podcast as well. So
Murray's an all-around great guy, but I was very excited to have Jimmy today, and he did wonderful, and I think we somewhat covered all the local news. I'm sure we forgot something because there's a lot in these papers, so please pick up your copy or look at your version online to make sure that you don't miss any of the local news, because next Wednesday and Thursday we'll be here before you know it, and we'll have more news out for you. And that is LavacaCountyToday.com is where you can find us online. If not, we're going to be here again next week. I can't tell you who's going to be here because we've been kind of jumping around with different things going on, but it's either going to be Murray and I or someone else, but we're going to be here regardless. So we hope you will listen in and be here with us. Jimmy, you want to say your goodbyes?
Well, I thank you for including me today. Enjoyed it. This is always fun to do.
Anytime, Jimmy. I'm really glad you showed up to work today. Let's just say that. But you guys have a wonderful weekend. Best of luck to all these homecomings in the area. We hope that the rain comes but holds off for your special night. And goodbye.
We hope you enjoyed this edition of the Lavaca County, Texas News Review. Our hosts and guests will provide you with all the area news and sports in Lavaca County. Thanks so much for joining us, and we hope you will be back for the next podcast. And in the meanwhile, we are going to rock and roll on out of here. Goodbye, everybody.